Right now on Morning News Now, Middle East on edge. Hundreds of rockets light up the skies in an exchange of airstrikes between Israel and Hezbollah. We have reaction from the White House as the U.S. and its allies work to prevent an even larger conflict. Also this morning, big boost fresh off the DNC. The Harris campaign says it's received millions in donations pouring in. But will the vice president be able to maintain the momentum? We are on the campaign trail as the Trump team tries to stem the tide in battleground states. Plus, wicked weather slams the West. This morning, thousands of people in Hawaii are waking up without power after a hurricane dropped over a foot of rain. And in the Grand Canyon, the search for a missing hiker has come to a tragic end after flash flooding left tourists stranded. We've got the latest. And SpaceX in the spotlight, the private company facing two major missions this week, including bringing home two astronauts stuck in space. Plus, what we've learned about the historic high-risk spacewalk set to take place in just days. We love space news here. We got a whole segment for you today.
A lot going on up there.
It really is, yeah.
Beyond us right now. Good to have you with us on this Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We begin this morning with developing news out of the Middle East, where an exchange of airstrikes between Israel and Hezbollah is renewing concerns of a wider war.
Israel launched what it calls a preemptive strike in southern Lebanon yesterday after it detected what it said were plans by Hezbollah to launch a large-scale attack. Just hours later, Hezbollah, an Iran-backed militia, says it fired more than 300 rockets, and Israel says it largely thwarted those strikes. It's the largest exchange of fire between the two since the war began last year. Now, amid these tensions, ceasefire negotiations appear to have stalled again. Hamas says it will not accept any conditions or changes to the proposal that was introduced by President Biden back in July. NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamdjian joins us now from Jerusalem with the latest. Danielle, good morning. First, just walk us through these attacks over the weekend. What did Hezbollah target in Israel, and how was Israel able to stop this barrage?
Well, good morning, Joe. Well, by the time most people woke up yesterday, everything was mostly done. The airport had reopened within 90 minutes. The gathering restrictions, which had been announced in the morning, were lifted by the time 12 o'clock came around. But I'll take you through, and here's a brief chronology of events in the morning. Israeli intelligence suggested that there were thousands of rocket launchers in southern Lebanon that were pointed and aimed at Israel. And so at 4:30 in the morning, according to Israeli officials, is when the first wave of Israeli jets were deployed, targeting a number of facilities, Hezbollah facilities in southern Lebanon. 20 minutes later, a second wave, so you're looking at a total of about 100 Israeli jets targeting 40 sites along southern Lebanon. Rocket launchers, Israel says, were embedded in civilian areas. Now, Hezbollah has a different version of events. It said, as you mentioned, Joe, that they were able to launch 340 rockets into Israel. They said, to target 11 military bases along the border. They were able to distract the Iron Dome, and in doing so, were able to launch drones deeper into Israel. What were they targeting? According to Hezbollah, they were targeting a military base called Glilot, which is near Tel Aviv, and it is relevant because it is home to the Unit 8200, which Hezbollah says was the intelligence unit that was linked to the assassination of Hezbollah commander Fouad Shukur in Beirut last month, which, of course, the assassination was at the hands of Israel. So Israel saying that the target was not reached. It was a failed attempt, both sides claiming victory, but Hassan Nasrallah, the head of Hezbollah, also saying yesterday, mission complete, but this was also only phase one, which begs the question, is there a phase two coming in the next few days or weeks?
Right. We actually heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying this is not the end. They've already begun moving more troops toward the Lebanese border in anticipation of another attack. What are we hearing from Hezbollah, from Iran? How close are we seeing an escalation being potentially in the picture here?
Well, what we've heard over and over again for the past several weeks is that nobody wants a war, but everybody is ready for one. Iran, the Iranian foreign minister is saying today or in the last 24 hours that it reserves the right to retaliate in a calculated way. Remember, this stems from the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the former head of Hamas, in Tehran last month. Israel has not confirmed or denied that it was behind that, but Iran is placing the blame on Israel. Now, there are lots of people in the northern part of Israel. Remember, tens of thousands of people have been displaced for months. They want to be able to return to northern Israel. So there is a lot of pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu and his government to resolve things and for people to be able to return. And the school year starts in just a few days. 16,000 Israeli children want to be able to attend.
Danielle, let's talk about the situation in Gaza. The UN says Israel has issued a dozen evacuation orders just this month alone, confining more than 2 million Palestinians to a humanitarian area that's smaller than Manhattan. Real quick, what is the situation like there right now?
Put it this way, Joe, 250,000 people forcibly displaced in 72 hours. We're not talking about people packing bags, shoving them in the car and moving on to the next location. They have whatever basic necessities they have left. They carry them in bags. Whatever relatives have survived, they are taking them with them. And remember, there is a generation of amputees there. People are traveling on wheelchairs. There is, a danger of a polio epidemic. The first batch of vaccines have arrived in Gaza. 640,000 children need to be vaccinated with this dose, 2 doses of the polio vaccine. So Dyer really just doesn't begin to explain the situation on the ground, Joe.
All right. Danielle Hamamdjian, thank you so much. Appreciate your reporting this morning.
NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joins us now for more on this. Aaron, good morning. How is the White House responding to the latest attacks between Israel and Hezbollah?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, the Biden administration has really been trying to push for calm in that region. Obviously, there's this desire for things to not blow up beyond what's been happening already in Gaza and some of the things that we've been seeing in the waterways around the Middle East. And so President Biden, we know, has been briefed at least twice through the course of the weekend on what's been happening as it relates to Hezbollah and Israel. And he directed his team, to his national security team, to continue following what's happening, directed his members of his national security team to engage with their counterparts in Israel in particular, and to, one, express his support for Israel's ability to defend itself, but at the same time, try to get an understanding of what it's going to take to calm the situation that's been happening, again, as it relates to Israel and Hezbollah. The president was on vacation over the course of the last week in California. We know that his chief of staff of the Situation Room, which is actually more than just the room that we often see in photos, it's a security complex, if you will. His chief of staff had been traveling with him, and so the president was able to get updates at least through that way, and obviously other members of his security team while he was in California. He is now back here on the East Coast. He's at his home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and we expect that he'll be able to get an update again today on the situation there. His regular daily presidential brief is scheduled for about 10 o'clock this morning, and quite certainly this will be a part of the topics that he will hear about this morning.
No doubt. Aaron, we also know Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke with Israeli officials on behalf of the president over the weekend. What did they discuss? I mean, what guidance is the U.S. offering after these strikes?
So we know that Secretary Austin spoke with his Israeli counterpart yesterday and on Saturday as well. And so it's likely that there was some level of awareness from the U.S. About what was going to happen on the Israeli side, at least on Saturday. And the Secretary Austin indicated that, again, he expressed U.S. support for Israel to defend itself. And these are sorts of conversations that happen between military leaders fairly regularly. We know that Secretary Austin speaks to Minister Gallant fairly regularly. And while the U.S. was not engaged in any of the fire action that happened between Israel and Hamas, we understand that from a U.S. official, there was an effort to help Israel with intelligence, with the ability to see what was coming in from Hezbollah, from the Lebanese side of the border with Israel. And we understand also that the secretary has ordered 2 carrier strike groups, naval vessels and their air power as well, to stay in that region. A show of support again for Israel, guys.
Aaron, Hamas officials say its delegation has left Cairo after unsuccessfully reaching a ceasefire deal with Israel. And that comes just days after President Biden spoke with both Israel and Egypt about the urgency of a deal. Is there any hope anymore at this point within the White House that a deal can be reached?
Yeah, it's a sensitive situation, obviously, and there does seem to be some hope from the White House that things can at least continue to move forward. We did hear from a U.S. official late yesterday that senior level talks that have been happening in Cairo over the course of the last 4 days or so were constructive. That was the word that we heard from a U.S. official here, and that everybody involved, the mediators, Israel, Hamas, everyone was working in the spirit of reaching a final agreement, reaching a final deal, and that really the bridging proposal that came from the U.S., Israel, and Qatar about 2 weeks ago is something that was talked about extensively, separately with Hamas and with Israel, and that the negotiators were able to identify some of the remaining issues and questions that needed clarification. And so, guys, there are working level teams that are going to continue in Cairo today and into this week, trying to nail down those final details where there still seems to be some distance. But it seems, at least on the U.S. side, there is hope that the conversation at least continues.
All right, Aaron Gilchrist, thank you very much.
Now to the race for the White House and a huge enthusiasm bump for Vice President Kamala Harris. The Harris campaign says that her acceptance speech at the DNC sparked a massive surge in donations, while her opponent, former President Trump, is preparing to hit the trail in some key battleground states this week. NBC News correspondent Adrian Broadus has the latest on the dueling campaigns.
Let's get out there. Let's vote for it.
It's an all-out blitz to the finish line.
We must defeat Kamala Harris.
There'll be time to sleep when you're dead.
The presidential campaign's kicking into high gear. Courting voters.
We need to be thinking about the future.
We're a nation in decline. Nobody is safe.
And collecting cash. Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign saying they've raised $40 million since her convention speech Thursday. Over $500 million since President Biden dropped out July 21st. It's a battle for bucks. The latest numbers for the Trump campaign, it says it raised almost $139 million in the month of July. As donations flow, so does a bank of promises. Both parties campaigning on reproductive rights.
When Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
On Meet the Press, Donald Trump's VP pick, J.D. Vance, telling NBC's Kristen Welker that his running mate would not impose a federal ban on abortion.
So he would veto a federal abortion ban?
I think he would. He said that explicitly, that he would.
As the Harris campaign builds on the momentum of its convention success, Republicans hope to gain ground and energize their base. Harris and Walz will kick off a bus tour through Georgia on Wednesday, while Mr. Trump will head to battleground states Wisconsin and Michigan on Thursday. All of this leading up to the big debate next month. Back to you.
All right, Adrian, thank you.
Let's get a little bit more of that interview. Vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance saying he now regrets that people have taken some of his previous comments the wrong way. Here's Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker with more on her conversation with Senator Vance, who said he thinks voters should focus more on political issues rather than his comments.
Hello there, Joe and Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I asked Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance whether he has any regrets about his past controversial comments on women, including calling prominent Democrats childless cat ladies. You're calling it a sarcastic comment.
Sure.
And yet, some women, and you got the feedback in real time, felt like it was a gut punch to them personally. Do you regret making that comment?
Look, I regret certainly that a lot of people took it the wrong way, and I certainly regret that the DNC and Kamala Harris lied about it.
But do you regret what you said, Senator?
Look, Kristen, I'm going to say things from time to time that people disagree with. I'm a real person. I'm going to make jokes. I'm going to say things sarcastically, and I think that what's important is that we focus on the policy. There are certainly going to be things that I say. If I'm elected vice president, people are going to say, well, I wish he had said that differently. I think it's most important to actually be the person I actually am and to say those sarcastic comments were made in the service of a real substantive point. This country has become too anti-family. It's too expensive to afford a house. It's too expensive to afford groceries. Donald Trump and I want to change that. And unless we get better leadership, we're not going to.
You can see my full interview and a lot more at MeetThePress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
With Labor Day around the corner, summer not going down without a fight, with extreme weather sweeping across the country once again. Scorching heat set to hit the Midwest this week.
Out west, authorities have recovered the body of a hiker who went missing after flash flooding left tourists stranded in the Grand Canyon. Meanwhile, in Hawaii, residents were hit with gusty winds and flooding rain as a result of a rare Pacific hurricane.
NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us now from Springfield, Illinois, with the latest on the severe weather. Maggie, good morning. So the National Weather Service predicting record high temperatures across the Midwest this week. Talk about where you are. How are things feeling?
It's already feeling pretty hot, guys. It's in the mid-70s right now, but today it's expected to get up to like 96 here in Springfield with the heat index over 100. Tomorrow's heat index, 111. I mean, this extreme heat is expected to last for days, and it's really going to be dangerous. We're seeing schools closing in Milwaukee and Chicago, among other major cities. And over the weekend, there was an Air Force show in Kansas where dozens of people were treated for heat-related issues. 17 of those people, guys, had to be hospitalized. So a reminder to do all the classics. Stay hydrated, stay in the shade, stay inside if you can.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Hawaii, Maggie. Over the weekend, Hurricane Hone slammed the Big Island, and now a second storm is on its way. How are Hawaiians coping?
As best they can. We have about 24,000 people on the Big Island without power at this point. And you're right. I mean, Hurricane Hone has made its way out. Hurricane Gilma is the next one that's taking aim at the Big Island. Right now, it's about 1,400 miles east of Hawaii with sustained winds at this point at 115 miles per hour. It's expected, our climate team tells me, to make landfall late Tuesday, early Wednesday. By that point, the good news is it is expected to weaken quite a bit. So everybody keeping their fingers tightly crossed for this. But as you can see, guys, from the video, I mean, this hurricane was no joke. People in Hawaii, obviously, they're used to wild weather from the ocean, but a Pacific hurricane is rare. And this was definitely a big one, guys.
And Maggie, as if all that's not enough, there was this flash flood in the Grand Canyon. More than 100 people evacuated. Right. One woman there was killed. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that water came in quickly. It caught a lot of people off guard. More than 100 people evacuated. Several of them had to just be airlifted, like plucked out of the Grand Canyon and flown away. I mean, keep in mind, this is the end of summer vacation season. People are still traveling. That's still at its peak levels. 33-year-old Shanoa Nickerson from Gilbert, Arizona is the hiker who was first reported missing. And then authorities say her body was recovered. You see people being rescued there. One man told us that hikers were like hiding in trees, trying to get out of the water as fast as they can, but they really didn't see it coming. And as you can see, guys, it proved incredibly treacherous.
Just unreal during a time when so many tourists are still visiting places like the Grand Canyon. Maggie Vespa, thank you so much.
Thank you. For the latest on all this extreme weather happening around the country, let's take a look at your Morning News Now weather.
This morning, we're joined by Philadelphia meteorologist Brittany Shipp from NBC News 10. Brittany, good to have you with us. Good morning.
Why, thank you. It's great to be with you. We definitely have a lot happening here with our weather. We want to start you off with our heat alerts here that are now affecting 45 million are at risk either under a heat advisory or a heat warning. So those heat index values up to 115 degrees, and these alerts are going to extend into tomorrow as well. And this as a lot of students are heading back to school. So these are some of the temperatures you're going to find. Chicago, 96 degrees. That's 15 degrees above average. Look at Omaha, 101 degrees down towards Little Rock, pretty close to that triple digit mark. And then as we look at tomorrow, the heat marches on. And in fact, it's going to start spreading to the east here. We have areas like Atlanta that will see another hot day. Baltimore gets in on the action, another 90-degree day there. And then as we look for the rest of the work week, take a look at New York. At least temperatures start to regulate down a little bit into the 70s on Thursday and Friday. So if you're closer to the northeast, Philly's included in that. But if you're closer to the south, look at Atlanta, staying in the 90s straight through the end of the work week. Same thing for Wilmington. We will be staying in the 90s. So it is going to take a little while before we see any relief. On top of all that, we want to talk about your severe weather threat, where 23 million are at risk to see damaging hail, wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. And anytime we see these severe thunderstorms, we cannot rule out the potential of a few isolated tornadoes. And of course, we already touched on this. Watching the tropics, we do still have 3 named storms in the Pacific. We have Tropical Storm Hector, Hurricane Gilma, now Tropical Storm Hone. And the good news, at least, is as we look at the track of Hone here, it continues to pull away from Hawaii right now with wind speeds at 70 miles per hour. So it will continue to lose its momentum and its steam here. But the next thing we have to watch is what's going to happen here in the next day or two. And that's going to be Gilma, which is going to basically follow the same track At least it's going to weaken as well before it approaches the Hawaiian Islands.
All right, lots to keep track of this time of year.
Yes, it is.
Good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We've got a lot more to get to on Morning News Now, including growing concerns about a dangerous virus being spread by mosquitoes. What you need to know and why experts say the weather is making things worse.
But first, explosions rocked the city of Kyiv over the weekend. We're on the ground in Ukraine as Russia mounts its largest assault in weeks. That's next. We are back with more developing news out of Ukraine. At least 3 people are dead after Russia launched a major missile attack across the country.
Explosions were heard throughout the capital city of Kyiv in what officials say was the largest Russian attack inside Ukraine in weeks. It comes as Ukrainian troops continue to advance in the Kursk region. President Zelensky says troops have taken control of 2 more settlements there, furthering his plan to create a buffer zone between Russia and vulnerable border towns in Ukraine. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin joins us now from Kharkiv with more on this. Aaron, good morning. Walk us through this major missile attack. We understand actually you and your team were forced to take cover. What happened and what did you see?
Yeah, that's right, Savannah. Good morning. We woke up here in Kharkiv at around 8 a.m. to the sounds of multiple explosions and immediately moved to the bomb shelter where, like millions of Ukrainians across this country, we immediately started monitoring social media on our smartphones to try and figure out where the missiles were going, where the missiles were landing. We heard from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky say that in total they estimate over 100 missiles and over 100 drones were launched across 15 regions here in Ukraine, killing at least 4 civilians, injuring 19. And the apparent target, the energy infrastructure. We know Russia has struck energy infrastructure before, this time no exception. According to Zelensky, they caused significant damage. But, you know, the remarkable thing was that once the attack was over, once we got out of the bomb shelter, people were resuming their normal everyday lives like nothing had happened. The cafes were full. It was very much business as usual in a remarkable show of that Ukrainian resilience. Guys.
And Aaron, you went right back to work, too. We're so glad you and your team are okay. You know, I mean, this attack comes 2 days after Ukraine Independence Day. Officials had warned of a possible attack in light of the celebrations. Do we know? I mean, are these 2 events possibly connected? And just how did Ukraine commemorate this national holiday?
Well, that connection is certainly a possibility. As you mentioned, last week we did hear from the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv warning about this kind of attack, saying that there was evidence that the Russians were preparing this attack tied to those Independence Day celebrations. On Saturday, August 24th, Ukraine marked its 33rd anniversary, the moment it declared statehood, leaving the Soviet Union. Here in Kharkiv, there was an all-out celebration, taking to the streets crowds of people to party, an act of defiance. And then in the capital, Kyiv, it was much more somber tone. There was a ceremony to remember the lives lost in this brutal war. We heard from President Zelensky unveil a new battlefield drone, as well as point to that ongoing invasion in Russia's Kursk region.
Aaron, I know you spoke with a Ukrainian commander about the future of this war. What did you learn? Are Ukrainians more hopeful there could be an end in sight?
Yeah, I spoke to the commander of the Khartia Brigade. It's a brigade that's charged with protecting the Kharkiv region. And I asked about that invasion of Kursk and what it means to him and the battlefield. Take a listen.
A small country who loves freedom. We not go away. We stay and protect our country and protect freedom. This was first army in the war, or second army in the war. Everybody scary Russia when we attacked the Kursk. A lot of guys told about the red line, yeah? No, not red line. Russian, it's a not very big bear, yeah? It's a small fox, maybe.
Colonel Igor Obolensky also told me that he realizes that right now on the battlefield, especially in that Donbass region, Ukraine is outmanned and outgunned by the Russians. But he said that he has confidence in the Ukrainian people, their persistence to continue this fight, but also, he said critically, confidence in the West to provide those badly needed weapons. Guys.
Erin McLaughlin, please stay safe. Thank you very much for your reporting.
More international news now. A popular excursion turned tragic after an ice cave collapsed in southern Iceland, killing at least one tourist.
Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. Authorities in Iceland confirmed that at least one person has died and two others remain missing after an ice wall collapsed in a glacier on the island. Now, the incident happened as a group of 25 tourists were exploring ice caves and canyons on a glacier in Vatnajökull National Park, one of the largest in Europe. Local police said 4 people were hit by the falling ice. One was pronounced dead on the scene. 2 of them were rescued, while another person was airlifted to a hospital to take care of his injuries. 2 people remain trapped and a search and rescue operation is underway. Let's go to North Korea now, where state media said Kim Jong-un supervised a demonstration of a new type of drone designed to crash and explode into targets. Photos of the test showed a drone supposedly crashing and exploding into what looks like a K-2 battle tank, similar to the ones used by South Korea. The new drones were unveiled as the U.S. and South Korea continue their joint military exercises aimed at enhancing their capabilities to counter North Korea's growing threats. South Korean authorities said they are closely examining the new drone's capabilities, but did not provide a detailed assessment. And let's end this tour of the world in Australia, where a new rule that comes into effect today will allow employees to ignore work emails and calls outside of working hours. The so-called right to disconnect law was designed to stop work from interfering with personal lives of employees in their free time. Supporters of the new law claim such a rule has become necessary, especially since work calls and emails outside of the office have increased after smart working became the norm during and after COVID-19. Australia, this way, becomes the latest in roughly 24 countries, mostly in Europe and Latin America, who have already introduced similar laws. Back to you guys.
Going to work to live instead of live to work. All right, Claudio, thank you so much. Coming up, back to school season in full swing.
But that also means an uptick in kids getting sick. How can you keep your children healthy in the classroom? We're going to chat with a friend of the show, Dr. Kavita Patel, up next.
We're back now with growing concerns about a dangerous virus that is being spread by mosquitoes this summer.
Yeah, the summer weather is creating optimal conditions for cases in the Northeast to grow. As NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo reports, one community is so concerned they are even recommending a curfew.
Central Massachusetts on high alert for a potentially deadly mosquito-borne virus called Triple E, after an elderly man became the state's first case since 2020. Triple E, or Eastern Equine Encephalitis, can cause severe neurological issues and has residents so concerned that officials in one town are recommending a 6 p.m. to sunrise curfew when mosquitoes are most active. NBC medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel.
How worried should we actually be about this?
I think that if you're in a warm part of the country, which is everywhere right now, you should be concerned enough that you should take precautions to protect yourself.
That includes West Nile virus, now reported in 33 states. One of those cases, infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci, recently hospitalized with the virus.
It feels like we're seeing more mosquitoes, but are there actually more mosquitoes out?
We are seeing higher mosquito activity than in summers past, but that's because we are seeing longer and more protracted summer seasons.
So how can you keep safe? Apply insect repellent, wear protective clothing, and drain standing water outdoors. Ways to guard against multiple mosquito concerns as summer winds down. Stephen Romo, NBC News.
Some good tips there. Well, as kids start to return to school, keeping them healthy, of course, is a top priority for many parents.
A moment ago, you saw NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. She joins us again now to talk about ways to keep your kids in top shape this school year. Dr. Patel, good to have you with us. Tap into all of your expertise. Yeah. Let's start with some of the basics. Hand washing, it's one of the simplest ways to keep kids from spreading germs I learned it when I was young. Kids are learning it now. But what are some tips to make it as effective as possible?
Yeah, it's a basic, but it's a good one because we want to make sure that kids are washing their hands for at least 20 seconds. So I do two things with my kids. They sing happy birthday twice. It's a little bit of just a gimmick because you get that 20 seconds in. And then I also have like them do something that's going to sound crazy, but Taylor Swift is really popular in our household. We put glitter on our hands and we try to get the exercise of how do you get the glitter off? Because it then really teaches you about how to get into those nooks and crannies, washing those hands effectively, and also teaching them how to sneeze and try to do anything like cough or sneeze into their elbow so that they kind of cough and sneeze into their elbow instead of getting all those germs. We learned a lot during COVID, but people aren't wearing masks anymore. So try to get them to practice hand hygiene, and coughing and sneezing can go a long way in keeping your own kids healthy and the kids around you healthy.
Okay, that glitter thing is too cute. That's a great idea. I love that. Okay, also
we're going to start doing it as adults.
Yeah. Glitter all over this. We all know a good night's sleep is so important for growing bodies and minds, so important for all of us.
Right.
How does it help, and how much sleep are we talking?
Yeah. So I love to tell this fact because it's true, and it really gets kids' attention because kids love growing. They all want to hurry up and grow up and be adults. And so what I tell them is that the most important time for growth is when you are sleeping. That's when a lot of our growth hormones actually do their magic. When we're resting. And so to that end, kids school age, especially the young ones, need at least 9 to 11 hours if they can get as much sleep as possible at those younger ages. And then the teen age, getting at least like 8 hours is really important. Wow. And then don't forget the adults too, because we need to sleep while the kids are resting. And it's really important to give them a routine. So talking to them, doing the things we're talking about as adults, Savannah and Joe, putting the phones away, any like electronics or TV screens, and then having a routine can help them.
Yeah, are there other ways to make sure your kids get settled in for a good night's sleep at bedtime to make sure they get those hours?
Yeah, a great way is physical activity. Believe it or not, the American Academy of Pediatrics and other experts recommend 60 minutes of daily activity, not just aerobic activity, Joe, but also having like muscle strengthening activity, resistance activity. That's a lot of work sometimes. And with all the things we put into kids' schedules, they might not get that 60 minutes, but that can help them not only get that routine, get that daily exercise as recommended, but it can help them hit the pillows and get some much needed rest.
Dr. Kavita Patel, we love when you come by. Again, expert on all things for us this morning. Thank you very much.
All right, coming up, from back to school to back to Earth.
After the break, we'll tell you about the daring SpaceX mission that's set to bring those 2 stranded Starlink astronauts home. That's next on Morning News Now.
We're back to some money news this morning. Supermarket chains Kroger and Albertsons will defend a merger plan in court today.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other financial headlines. Silvana, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning to you. Yes, so Kroger and Albertsons head to court today to defend their merger. The companies proposed what would be the largest supermarket deal in U.S. history back in 2022, saying it would help them cut costs and compete better with Walmart and Costco. But the Federal Trade Commission has sued to block the merger, saying it would eliminate competition and raise grocery prices. Kroger and Albertsons operate more than 5,000 stores across the country. Meanwhile, IKEA is taking on the likes of eBay and Craigslist, launching a marketplace for customers to sell secondhand furniture. The company tells the Financial Times IKEA Pre-Owned will be tested in Spain and Norway with the aim of rolling it out globally. Now, the new marketplace is part of an overhaul at IKEA as it moves from being a physical retailer where customers have to pick up and build their own furniture to a business offering online sales and services such as assembly. And first-class seats for up to 85% off. Well, Qantas accidentally sold first-class seats between the U.S. and Australia for less than $3,400. That is a massive discount on the usual fare. Qantas says passengers snapped up 300 of the tickets within 8 hours of the offer being advertised on Thursday. The airline is rebooking the lucky customers into business class, which is still a savings of 65% off. Now, airlines don't have to honor advertised fares when they're clearly incorrectly priced, but Qantas says it will eat the cost from the mistake, guys. It took 8 hours for them to notice this mistake.
Right.
Yeah, dang.
And they all thought,
like, they should get it. Like, well, that's what you sold it for. Yeah.
All right, Savannah, thank you.
Thank you. Well, this morning, SpaceX is getting getting ready for 2 critical missions. One of them, a historic spacewalk, now set for tomorrow.
Plans are also taking shape to bring home those 2 astronauts who've been up in space since June, much longer than expected. NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra has the latest.
Dragons, SpaceX.
SpaceX counting down for 2 critical missions. The company tapped to bring astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams back down to Earth in February.
Hello, everybody.
The duo has made the International Space Station home nearly 3 months after launching on Boeing's Starliner. That spaceship now set to return home without them because of thruster issues that left the 2 stranded. Boeing saying in part, we continue to focus first and foremost on the safety of the crew and spacecraft. And in just days,
it's been a really exciting journey.
The Polaris Dawn mission, set to make history, will include the first all-civilian spacewalk and a whopping orbit 870 miles above Earth.
Welcome to our simulator.
Together, Scott Petit, Sarah Gillis, and Anna Menon, led by Jared Isaacman, will do what no human has before. Previewed in this animation, across 5 days, they'll do Starlink comms tests. Astronauts Gillis and Isaacman will step out of the Dragon capsule and test human bounds in space.
Up above us is where we'll actually go out into the vacuum of space.
The risks in space are something former shuttle commander Eileen Collins knows all too well.
I think it's going to be fine, but I also think that it's risky.
But for crew leader Isaacman, the risk is worth the reward.
We're trying to inspire people to think about this extraordinary world we could live in tomorrow.
One step and 870 miles closer to expanding home beyond Earth. Marissa Parra, NBC News.
Let's talk a little more space news and bring in Dr. Savik Ford. She's a professor of astronomy at the City University of New York and a research associate in the Department of Astrophysics at the American Museum of Natural History. Good to have you with us. So both NASA and Boeing both previously adamant that the Starliner capsule was the primary choice for returning the crew. Now, Starliner is coming home without them. What are your takeaways from what we've seen over the last few months and what we'll likely see over the next several months here?
So I think the big takeaway is that spaceflight is really hard, especially when you put people in the mix. People need all kinds of support systems. They're very fragile, and you don't want to be taking unnecessary risks. Obviously, spaceflight is inherently risky, and the astronauts know that. But when NASA has to report to a widow or widower on the landing site that their partner is not coming home, that is a really devastating impact, and nobody wants to be the person who has to do that. And so I think that NASA is being appropriately cautious about returning Sunny Williams and Butch Williams. So that's where we're at right now. And they get an extra few months in space, which most astronauts actually probably are not that sad about, but don't tell their families.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that with friends of the show here, because you think, gosh, it's months longer up there and in a small confined space, but it is a pretty cool opportunity if it's something that you've trained for. NASA had said that it's 100% certain that the Starliner would be able to launch with a crew again someday. What do you think needs to be done to make the next mission successful? What do we learn from this?
So obviously they need to get a handle on what is wrong with the thrusters. And I think that some of the tests that they've done on orbit have been helpful for diagnosing that, but they don't actually have a complete handle on it yet. And so I think that even if you were inside one of the engineering teams at NASA or Boeing, they couldn't tell you exactly what the problem is, because if they knew, they would be able to fix it and bring folks home sooner. But they have narrowed down the possibilities. And so it's a question of manufacturing control and sort of interacting systems that sometimes you can't really get a handle on until things are on orbit. So that's the plan.
This was not really the intention. It is in some ways sort of part of the process, right? There's a lot of problem solving that goes on when we're trying to figure out how to explore space, right?
Absolutely. This was absolutely the first time that they were flying the Starliner crewed, and they knew that it was a test flight, and they understood that things don't always go according to plan on test flights. That's why you have test flights. And so that's why they also only flew 2 people. They were very experienced. Both of the astronauts we're talking about here are formal naval aviators. And so they're very used to rolling with emergencies and dealing with what comes at them as it comes at them.
Dr. Ford, good to have you with us this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Coming up, we are ready to serve up some drama on the court here in New York.
After the break, we've got a full preview of the U.S. Open, which starts today. What are the big matches that we're hoping will happen? Stay with us. We're going to take you to Queens next. Welcome back. After a thrilling 8 innings, a Florida team won the Little League World Series. The team from Lake Mary, which is just outside of Orlando, bested Chinese Taipei for the prestigious title. They just happened to be the first team from Florida to ever win the championship. Quickly, we should note Taiwan itself is self-governed, but China claims it as part of its territory. Taipei clung to a 1-0 lead through the first few innings, with Florida tying in the bottom of the 6th, and then a well-placed bunt in the 8th actually led to a throwing error by Taipei that allowed Florida to score that game-winning run, and the celebrations were on. Congratulations to them, a moment they will truly never forget.
Absolutely. So exciting. Go Florida. Thanks, Joe. Well, in Paris, the Olympics may have ended, but the Paralympics are just about to get started. For one of the swimmers on Team USA, these games will be the culmination of an inspiring recovery. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa introduces us to an athlete who will take to the water less than 2 years after losing her foot to a shark.
Allie Truitt has been swimming her entire life, but she's about to dive into her most competitive race yet, one she never could have predicted.
You're a Paralympian.
I am.
How does that feel to say?
That feels crazy, especially just thinking about where I was a little over a year ago.
After graduating from Yale last year, where she competed on the swim team, Allie and a friend traveled to Turks and Caicos on a celebratory trip, exploring a popular snorkeling spot that would change her life forever.
A shark came up and started attacking us and aggressively bumping us and ramming us from underneath. And we fought back and shoved and kicked, but pretty quickly it got my leg in its mouth. And the next thing I knew, it had bitten off my foot and part of my leg.
No one could hear their cries for help.
So we made the split-second decision to swim for our lives, roughly 75 yards in the open ocean water back to the boat.
It's a parent's worst nightmare.
A nurse called me and said, Mrs. Truitt, we have your daughter, Alexandra, and she's conscious and breathing. So I knew right away that something was terribly, terribly wrong.
After multiple blood transfusions and surgeries, including amputation, Allie returned to the swimming pool back home in Connecticut to help with her recovery. What she didn't foresee was just how far the sport would propel her physically and emotionally.
I remember I left the hospital and I asked my parents to put all of my shorts and short skirts and short dresses away because I didn't want anyone to see my prosthetic leg. And being in this space has exposed me to so much and given me so much of my confidence back.
She credits her army of supporters, from longtime Paralympians to the water aerobics class that practices next to her.
Thank you, guys.
To family and friends, like 5-time Olympic medalist Kate Douglas, training here along Allie.
5K in the morning, 5K in the afternoon.
Her former coach, Jamie Barone, even coming out of retirement to guide Allie through her recovery.
You've known Allie since she was just 12 years old. What stands out to you about her?
Work ethic, without a hesitation. She is the hardest worker I've ever met. If at any point in time she had texted me or called me and said, you know what, I'm just going to curl up in a ball today and I'm going to cry, everyone in the world would be like, that checks out. You take the day, you do whatever. Not once. She has never once missed a day of practice.
That tenacity translated into head-turning times. Allie competed in nationals by the end of the year, and a few months later, Paralympic swimming trial.
The para movement basically gave her a recovery runway. That's what's happened here.
It's so evident Allie looks up to you, a former swimmer. What have you learned from Allie in the past 15 months?
I think she's teaching me to be fearless, but I think this whole year has been her facing one fear after another. And I think a lesson for all of us in our family is just don't let fear rule you. Just fight it.
A fight Allie will now take to the world stage in Paris, buoyed by love and support from a rapidly growing Team Truitt.
you know, I'm unique in that I was attacked by a shark, but I'm not unique in that we all go through hardship and trauma and tough times in life, and we all have the capacity to rise back up.
All right, thanks to Emily Aketa for that touching story. And make sure you tune into the Paralympic Games live. You can catch all the action on NBC and Peacock starting this Wednesday, August 28th. Can't wait.
Just a couple days away.
That Olympic spirit.
Exactly. All right, finally this hour, speaking of the spirit, the U.S. Open kicks off right here in New York City today.
That's right, and it's on the heels of some pretty exciting Olympic performances, so the hype is definitely real this morning.
For more on what we can expect, we are joined by Hall of Fame tennis coach, motivational speaker, author, and friend of the show, Rick Macy. Rick, good to have you with us.
Hello.
No, it's good to be with you, Joe and Savannah.
All right, so let's kick it off here. We know Coco Gauff and Novak Djokovic are obviously looking to defend their championship titles. Does it look like they're the favorites to win it all again this year?
Well, let's start with Coco. As you heard me say many times, the Olympic sprinter with a racket in her hand. Her backbone is just as good as her backhand. But at the end of the day, she's been struggling a little bit. But if she gets that confidence back with the New York crowd, they could be going cuckoo for Coco. So never count out the heart of a champion. And then this other guy you talked about, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He has a lot of potential. You know, the rubber band man, the Serbian sniper, Novak Djokovic. 99 singles titles, 24 Grand Slams, and now he has that in his back pocket. But now in his front pocket, he has a gold medal that he won a month ago in Paris. So Djokovic has an easier draw, but both of them, it wouldn't surprise me if they're the last people standing.
Absolutely. Rick, what's the latest with top-ranked Jannik Sinner? He tested positive for anabolic steroids back in March, but is still expected to play. Is that kind of casting a cloud here?
Yeah, you know, especially when you're the #1 player in the world, everybody's going to talk about it. They think it's a different set of rules. But listen, the ITIA found it was not intentional. It was accidentally transmitted, okay, through a massage. And this is a lot of zeros, 0.000001. Joe and Savannah, that's a lot of zeros and donuts. That's kind of more than he gives on the tennis court. So he's going to play, but he has a brutal draw. He has Tommy Paul in the 4th round, if everybody gets there. Then he has Medvedev, then Alcaraz, then the Joker. I mean, so he has a brutal draw. He will be tested on the court, even more so than what he was off the court.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you mentioned Carlos Alcaraz. Now, he twisted his ankle during practice over the weekend. He does still plan to play. What are you hearing about that? Could that set him back at all, or do you think he's still going to be one of the favorites?
Yeah, he rolled his ankle on Saturday. He stopped practice. I love his reason. He goes, I wanted to get better. You know, he stopped, precautionary, but he's ready to go. He's ready to go. You've heard me say many times, the Spanish magician has 4 Grand Slams. And guys, he's only 21 years old. Generational talent, okay? And even though he rolled his ankle, he said he's ready to go. And that's my favorite to win the whole thing, Carlos Alcaraz.
All right, you got it right there, Rick.
Favorite.
So we're laying down the gauntlet. All right.
Interesting to see. We're both lucky enough to go
We're
a little
going to
bit.
check it out. It's my first year actually going, too, so I can't wait to see it in person. So, Rick Macy, great to have you with us as always.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank
Today's
you
not
so
only
much.
the first day of the U.S. Open, by the way. It also happens to be Savannah's birthday. Happy
It is
birthday.
my birthday. Thank you
You woke
so
up
much.
early despite that to come here.
There you go. Oh, my goodness. Who made this? Oh, my gosh.
Chandler made this for you.
Chandler, stop. That is so funny.
That is actually not a graphic. That is actual video of Savannah dancing over the
That's me.
weekend.
That was me
celebrating
Saturday
her
night.
birthday.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much. That's very sweet,
I want to
guys.
know what that
Yes.
dance is called.
No place I'd rather be on my birthday.
Well, we are so glad you're celebrating with us. Glad you had a good time over the weekend.
Yes,
and
we did.
you get to celebrate with your family now, right?
I know. Parents are in town. We're going to do a whole, make it a whole week celebration.
Very good.
Yes, very, very princess of
All
me.
right. It's okay. That's your
But it'll
time.
be fun, yeah.
It's your time to be a princess.
Yeah,
You can wash
thank
your hands
you.
with glitter and everything.
Yeah, right.
Dr. Patel recommended. Happy birthday.
Thank
Glad
you
we
so
get to
much.
celebrate
Thank
with
you, guys. That was so cute.
All right. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on a Monday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Pryor. Right now on Morning News Now, rising tensions in the Middle East after a violent weekend of firefights between Israel and Hezbollah. We are on the ground as fears of a wider war grip the embattled region. Also this morning, a swing state sweep for Vice President Kamala Harris. She'll be back on the campaign trail fresh off a fiery DNC showing. The pressure is mounting for Harris to put her policies out in the open with either a press conference or one-on-one interview. We're going to bring you the latest as the Trump campaign tries to set the record straight on its abortion policy. Plus, a 1-2-3 punch from Mother Nature affecting tens of millions of Americans this morning. From a sweltering heat dome that's baking the Midwest to dangerous flash flooding in the Grand Canyon and a rare Pacific hurricane battering Hawaii. We're covering it all as you start your week. And it's tennis time in New York. The U.S. Open is underway. From the on-court duels to the off-court drama, we're breaking down everything you need to know. We're going to start with the war in the Middle East as Israel and Hezbollah both trade major attacks over the weekend.
Yeah, the attacks come as a U.S. official says that the recent ceasefire negotiations with Hamas and Israel in Egypt have been, quote, productive. Here's NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley in Israel with the latest.
So I'm here at a private home in Akka in northern Israel. And as you can see behind me, even though most of those Hezbollah rockets were intercepted, they can still cause a lot of damage and a lot of danger. Today, the Middle East still bracing for war. A day after Israel launched what it called a preemptive strike against Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group. And Hezbollah launched a pre-dawn volley of missiles and drones at military installations across Israel. But at least for now, that crisis appears to have been averted. Both Hezbollah and Israel declared victory, while Israeli authorities reported no civilian casualties and only minimal damage.
They didn't necessarily strike particularly hard. Do you think this was a face-saving climb down by Hezbollah?
Part of this attack, looking not as big, was our self-defense attack in the morning before their attack.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pledged whoever harms us, we harm him, and warned that yesterday's attacks are not the end of the story. But American Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin ordered 2 aircraft carrier strike groups to remain in the Middle East. Tensions have been mounting since last month when Israel assassinated a senior Hezbollah commander near Beirut, sparking fears of region-wide war that could even drag in the United States.
Our hope is that the events of last night do not spill out into an escalation that leads to regional war.
It comes as sirens sounded in Tel Aviv after Hamas targeted the city with a rocket, which didn't result in any deaths or serious injuries. The Middle East is breathing a sigh of relief. But a lasting peace will depend on peace talks that have so far seen little success.
We are feverishly working in Cairo as we speak with our team and the teams of the other mediators, as well as with the Israelis, to get to a ceasefire and hostage deal.
And despite all the pessimism around those talks, a U.S. official told NBC News yesterday that the talks have been constructive and they will continue.
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you.
Let's bring in NBC News military analyst Colonel Jack Jacobs for more on this. Colonel, always great to have you with us. Thanks for your time. What do you make of the exchange between Hezbollah and Israel? Could this be the beginning of that wider war we've been concerned about?
It could be, but cooler heads have prevailed. We do know that Israel discovered through much better intelligence than they had on October 7th the locations of the masses of rockets and drones that were going to be launched. Hezbollah had to respond. And don't forget, by the way, that Hezbollah is an arm of Iran's ambitions in the Middle East. It does its bidding. It's armed by Iran and so on. So this was effectively a face-saving measure by Iran, who had to demonstrate that they were going to respond over a period of months. But we should make no mistake about what's going on there. These exchanges, though they will probably in the foreseeable future be less intense than they were the other day, are going to continue. They've been going on for 10 months, actually longer than that, but at least for 10 months. And they will intensify from time to time. A lot of the outcome here over the midterm depends on peace talks, on ceasefire talks. But as Raf noted, they're so far they're headed absolutely nowhere. And the principal reason for that is that Israel wants to be able to control the southern border of Gaza, and neither Hamas nor Iran wants anything to do with that, Savannah.
Colonel Jacobs, we saw Hezbollah trying to target Israeli military bases during its attack. Talk more about the strategy, it seems, here.
Well, it's their focus on military bases inside Israel is as much a limitation on what the hostilities could be than it is anything else. They said quite specifically exactly what they gave a target list, and then they're all military targets according to Hezbollah. And that was to alleviate any possibility that Israel would respond with more massive strikes inside Lebanon, which would be terribly destabilizing. So it's clear that both sides want to minimize the possible expansion of the exchanges of weaponry by specifying that it's, in Hezbollah's case, saying they were going after specific military targets, and Israel did as well.
Colonel, we heard Matt say in his story that aired just a moment ago that Secretary Lloyd Austin is leaving 2 aircraft carrier strike groups in the region. What would it take to get the U.S. involved on the ground, and how can the U.S. de-escalate the situation without getting more directly involved?
Well, the deployment of the carrier task forces are specifically for deterrence in the first place. Yes, they could be there if something happens that drags the United States into war, but they're principally there to convince Iran not to expand their activities in the region. Just about anything that would involve American troops or American assets directly from either Hezbollah or Iran would bring the United States into responding in a dramatic fashion. Iran knows that, and the reason that those carrier task forces are there are to prevent what Iran might do if those carrier task forces were not there. So attacks on American assets in the region, that would bring an American response. A massive attack on population centers by Hezbollah or Iran in Israel, and a request by Israel to respond, that would be an extremely difficult situation for everybody involved. We would be highly motivated to respond with our own assets. But Iran, knowing that and knowing our massive response capability, is unlikely to engender the kind of American response we've just been talking about.
Colonel Jacobs, amid all of this, we have the ceasefire negotiations constantly going on. It seems every time we get close, something happens to pull it back a little bit. What are you keeping an eye on right now when it comes to this amid all of the conflicts, attacks, counterattacks that are happening in the region right now?
Well, it's interesting that effectively Israel is fighting a two-front war. It's down there inside Gaza and wants to be able to control the borders so there are no infiltrations of either people on the one hand or weapons on the other, particularly through the border with Egypt, and is also fighting Hezbollah. What's important for Israel is that the focus remain in the north. It's very, very difficult for them because this is fighting a two-front war like this drains Israel's both military capability and particularly its economic capability. When you put 200,000–300,000 Israelis in uniform, take them out of the workforce to defend Israel, it's an enormous drain on Israel's economy. So what we have to keep an eye on are the participation of the Arab nations to engender some kind of ceasefire on the one hand, and the disposition of Israel's forces north and south. The former is really, really important. Nothing is going to happen positively with Gaza, and even in northern Israel and Lebanon, unless and until the Arab nations present a unified front and determine that they are actually going to participate in establishing security, A, within Gaza, and B, security for Israel, particularly on the Gazan border. Up until now, the Arab nations have been doing very little, occasionally have been participating in the background. We're heavily dependent on Qatar as an intermediary. But if the Arab nations coalesce into a force that says that they are going to stop these attacks, you might see progress.
Colonel Jack Jacobs, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Turning now to the race for the White House, with both the Republican and Democratic conventions now over, the presidential campaigns are kicking into high gear. Both camps will hit key battleground states, with all roads leading to the November matchup between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins us now with the latest. Gabe, good morning.
Hey there, Joe. Good morning. This week, Vice President Harris is expected to do her first formal interview since President Biden dropped out of the race. And there is now a debate over the debate. Both campaigns arguing that the other is trying to change the rules. This morning, with just 71 days until the election, the presidential campaign is ramping up. Early voting starts next month in at least 6 states, and the Harris campaign is now announcing a bus tour this week to battleground Georgia, while the Trump campaign, fresh off an endorsement from third-party candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I was surprised to discover that we are aligned on many key issues.
Is planning to head this week to critical swing states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania.
We're going to defeat Comrade Kamala Harris, and we're going to win back our beautiful White House.
Harris's campaign and its allies say they've raised a record $540 million since President Biden dropped out a month ago. For its part, the Trump campaign says it raked in almost $139 million last month. Now, with the Democratic National Convention behind her, there is mounting pressure on Vice President Harris to hold a formal press conference or a major sit-down interview. While on Meet the Press, Trump's VP pick, Senator J.D. Vance, telling NBC's Kristen Welker his running mate would not impose a federal ban on abortion.
So he would veto a federal abortion ban?
I think he would. He said that explicitly, that he would.
And even as Trump casts doubts on election results.
Do you have faith the 2024 election will be free and fair?
I do, Kristen. I do think it's going to be free and fair, and we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that happens.
Harris has already started prepping for that other major milestone in this campaign. That highly anticipated debate is less than 2 weeks away. Although, in a new social media post overnight, Trump suggested he might back out of it after what he called a biased interview on the network. The Harris campaign this morning says they don't want the mics to be muted while the other candidate is speaking. And the Trump campaign argues the Harris team wants other rule changes they did not agree to. Joe and Savannah?
All right, the plot thickens. Gabe, thank you so much.
Well, now to the extreme weather that's making its way throughout the country. This week, residents in the Midwest are expected to face more extreme heat as temperatures are predicted to reach record highs. It comes as now tropical storm Hone slammed Hawaii's Big Island as a hurricane over the weekend, leaving thousands in the dark. And a flash flood sent hikers running for high ground in the Grand Canyon. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us now from Springfield, Illinois, with more on the extreme weather sweeping across the country. Maggie, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, we'll start with the Midwest and the heat, because with less than a month to go, if you can believe it, until the start of fall, large swaths of this region are set to experience their hottest temperatures of the summer so far, with the heat index in a lot of places reaching well over 100 as this wild weather builds across the country.
From raging floods and violent hurricanes to soaring temps sizzling America's heartland, this summer of severe weather is not letting up. In the Midwest, a brutal heat dome fueled by high pressure. Chicago's more than 50-year-old record high of 97 degrees could be broken. At an Air Force show in Kansas, dozens were treated for heat-related issues, and 17 had to be hospitalized.
The biggest thing we see is dehydration at the fair and heat exhaustion.
And in Alaska, a deadly landslide causing mass destruction to one small town, destroying properties, downing power lines, and forcing residents from their homes, with the potential for a second landslide also a concern. At least one person was killed and several others injured. All of it comes as a violent hurricane season rages on. Over the weekend, Hawaii was slammed by Hurricane Hone, with heavy rains and 70-mile-per-hour winds grounding flights for days. And in the final stretch of summer vacation, violent flash floods wreaking havoc at America's iconic Grand Canyon National Park, washing away campsites and parts of the canyon wall. More than 100 hikers and tourists trapped by raging floodwaters had to be evacuated, some even airlifted from the canyon. A 33-year-old Arizona woman, Shanoa Nickerson, died. Others caught off guard by how quickly it all happened.
I think we heard a story about one guy who climbed a tree and spent the night in a tree. Lucky to be alive.
Yeah, that is such a crazy roundup of video. Back here in the Midwest, by the way, with this excessive heat, schools in Chicago and Milwaukee, among other cities, are closing today due to the heat, which is expected to last for days. Savannah?
All right, Maggie, thank you.
We're staying with the extreme weather track this morning and have a check on the forecast for the week ahead.
We have Philadelphia meteorologist Brittany Shipp. She's here from our NBC News 10 station. She has the latest. Brittany, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, let's talk a little bit more about the heat. That is the big weather story here. You can see 45 million people are at risk under a heat alert, either a heat advisory or a heat warning. We could see feels like temperatures upwards of 115 degrees, and this is expected to last for the next couple of days. How oppressive is this heat going to be? Take a look at Chicago. We already mentioned it, 96 with a heat index of 105. That's about 15 degrees above the normal average for this time of year. St. Louis, heat index at 104 degrees. Dallas coming in at 97 degrees today. And as we head into tomorrow, everything starts to shift to the east. So we're not going to get rid of this heat just yet. For parts of Nashville, 100 degrees today. Closer to Philadelphia, almost at 90 degrees. That feels like temperature close to 90 degrees as well. Places like Pittsburgh will make it into the mid-90s with the heat index. And as we look to the later part of the work week, you'll notice Chicago will regulate down a little bit. We'll head into the 80s versus Nashville. It'll take all the way until the weekend before we start to see any relief. We'll see triple digits Wednesday, Thursday, and upper 90s on Friday. Take a look at New York. Although we are going to see warmer temperatures the next 2 days, by Thursday, we're back down into the 70s. Same thing on Friday. But places like Wilmington will remain in the 90s straight through the rest of this week. Our satellite radar shot showing us some activity here. Lots of thunderstorms firing up closer to Billings, Salt Lake City, Denver, down towards Albuquerque and El Paso. This is going to be another weather threat for us today as we go into the afternoon and into the evening. So who was affected by the severe weather threat? Take a look at the areas highlighted in orange. That's an enhanced risk for today for those severe thunderstorms, which includes damaging hail 2 inches in diameter or larger, wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and even the potential, of course, we have to mention, of a few isolated tornadoes. So again, another active day for parts of the Midwest. You will notice that area of low pressure continues to track to the east, but again, those explosive storms are going to be a concern for us as we head into the next day or two. We are also watching the tropics for you. We have Tropical Storm Hone, which was a hurricane that brought over 27 inches of rain to parts of Hawaii. Now that is going to continue to track to the east, or the west, I should say, away from the island. We also have Hurricane Gilma and Tropical Storm Hector. So we definitely have lots to track for you, a lot of activity. But the number one weather story is going to be the heat affecting so much of the nation.
Yeah, end of August, and we're still feeling it here.
Summer is not done with us just yet.
Yeah, nope. 90s here this week. Wow. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a full preview of all the action you don't want to miss at this year's U.S. Open, which kicks off today. We'll break down the must-see matchups a little later on.
But first, how can you keep your family healthy in the midst of back-to-school season? It might be a little easier than you'd think. The doctor is in with some simple steps to try and stave off sickness. Stay with us. We We're back with more developing news out of Ukraine. At least 3 people are dead after Russia launched a major missile attack across the country.
Explosions were heard throughout the capital city of Kyiv in what officials say was the largest Russian attack inside Ukraine in weeks. It comes as Ukrainian troops continue to advance in the Kursk region. President Zelensky says troops have taken control of 2 more settlements there, furthering his plan to create a buffer zone between Russia and vulnerable border towns in Ukraine. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin joins us now from Kharkiv with more on this. Aaron, good morning. Walk us through this major missile attack. We understand actually you and your team were forced to take cover. What happened and what did you see?
Yeah, that's right, Savannah. Good morning. We woke up here in Kharkiv at around 8 a.m. to the sounds of multiple explosions and immediately moved to the bomb shelter where, like millions of Ukrainians across this country, we immediately started monitoring social media on our smartphones to try and figure out where the missiles were going, where the missiles were landing. We heard from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky say that in total they estimate over 100 missiles and over 100 drones were launched across 15 regions here in Ukraine, killing at least 4 civilians, injuring 19. And the apparent target, the energy infrastructure. We know Russia has struck energy infrastructure before, this time no exception. According to Zelensky, they caused significant damage. But, you know, the remarkable thing was that once the attack was over, once we got out of the bomb shelter, people were resuming their normal everyday lives like nothing had happened. The cafes were full. It was very much business as usual in a remarkable show of that Ukrainian resilience. Guys.
And Aaron, you went right back to work, too. We're so glad you and your team are okay. You know, I mean, this attack comes 2 days after Ukraine Independence Day. Officials had warned of a possible attack in light of the celebrations. Do we know? I mean, are these 2 events possibly connected? And just how did Ukraine commemorate this national holiday?
Well, that connection is certainly a possibility. As you mentioned, last week we did hear from the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv warning about this kind of attack, saying that there was evidence that the Russians were preparing this attack tied to those Independence Day celebrations. On Saturday, August 24th, Ukraine marked its 33rd anniversary, the moment it declared statehood, leaving the Soviet Union. Here in Kharkiv, there was an all-out celebration, taking to the streets crowds of people to party and an act of defiance. And then in the capital, Kyiv, it was much more somber tone. There was a ceremony to remember the lives lost in this brutal war. We heard from President Zelensky unveil a new battlefield drone, as well as point to that ongoing invasion in Russia's Kursk region.
Aaron, I know you spoke with a Ukrainian commander about the future of this war. What did you learn? Are Ukrainians more hopeful there could be an end in sight?
Yeah, I spoke to the commander of the Khartia Brigade. It's a brigade that's charged with protecting the Kharkiv region. And I asked about that invasion of Kursk and what it means to him and the battlefield. Take a listen.
A small country who loves freedom. We not go away. We stay and protect our country and protect freedom. The biggest, it was first army in the war, yeah, or second army in the war. Everybody scary Russia when we attacked the Kursk. A lot of guys told about the red line, yeah. No, not red line. Russian, it's not very big bear, yeah? It's a small fox, maybe.
Colonel Igor Obolensky also told me that he realizes that right now on the battlefield, especially in that Donbass region, Ukraine is outmanned and outgunned by the Russians. But he said that he has confidence in the Ukrainian people, their persistence to continue this fight, but also, he said critically, confidence in the West to provide those badly needed weapons. Guys.
Aaron McLaughlin, please stay safe. Thank you very much for your reporting.
More international news now. A popular excursion turned tragic after an ice cave collapsed in southern Iceland, killing at least 1 tourist.
Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. Authorities in Iceland confirmed that at least one person has died and 2 others remain missing after an ice wall collapsed in a glacier on the island. Now, the incident happened as a group of 25 tourists were exploring ice caves and canyons on a glacier in Vatnajökull National Park, one of the largest in Europe. Local police said 4 people were hit by the falling ice. One was pronounced dead on the scene. 2 of them were rescued, while another person was airlifted to a hospital to take care of his injuries. 2 people remain trapped and a search and rescue operation is underway. Let's go to North Korea now, where state media said Kim Jong-un supervised a demonstration of a new type of drone designed to crash and explode into targets. Photos of the test showed a drone supposedly crashing and exploding into what looks like a K-2 battle tank, similar to the ones used by South Korea. The new drones were unveiled as the U.S. and South Korea continue their joint military exercises aimed at enhancing their capabilities to counter North Korea's growing threats. South Korean authorities said they are closely examining the new drone's capabilities, but did not provide a detailed assessment. And let's end this tour of the world in Australia, where a new rule that comes into effect today will allow employees to ignore work emails and calls outside of working hours. The so-called right to disconnect law was designed to stop work from interfering with personal lives of employees in their free time. Supporters of the new law claim such a rule has become necessary, especially since work calls and emails outside of the office have increased after smart working became the norm during and after COVID-19. Australia, this way, becomes the latest in roughly 24 countries, mostly in Europe and Latin America, who have already introduced similar laws. Back to you guys.
Going to work to live instead of live to work. All right, Claudio, thank you so much. Coming up, back to school season in full swing.
But that also means an uptick in kids getting sick. How can you keep your children healthy in the classroom? We're going to chat with a friend of the show, Dr. Kavita Patel, up next.
We're back now with growing concerns about a dangerous virus that is being spread by mosquitoes this summer.
Yeah, the summer weather is creating optimal conditions for cases in the Northeast to grow. As NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo reports, one community is so concerned they are even recommending a curfew.
Central Massachusetts on high alert for a potentially deadly mosquito-borne virus called Triple E, after an elderly man became the state's first case since 2020. Triple E, or Eastern Equine Encephalitis, can cause severe neurological issues and has residents so concerned that officials in one town are recommending a 6 p.m. to sunrise curfew when mosquitoes are most active. NBC medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel.
How worried should we actually be about this?
I think that if you're in a warm part of the country, which is everywhere right now, you should be concerned enough that you should take precautions to protect yourself.
That includes West Nile virus, now reported in 33 states. One of those cases, infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci, recently hospitalized with the virus.
It feels like we're seeing more mosquitoes, but are there actually more mosquitoes out?
We are seeing higher mosquito activity than in summers past, but that's because we are seeing longer and more protracted summer seasons.
So how can you keep safe? Apply insect repellent, wear protective clothing, and drain standing water outdoors. Ways to guard against multiple mosquito concerns as summer winds down. Stephen Romo, NBC News.
Some good tips there. Well, as kids start to return to school, keeping them healthy, of course, is a top priority for many parents.
A moment ago, you saw NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. She joins us again now to talk about ways to keep your kids in top shape this school year. Dr. Patel, good to have you with us. Tap into all of your expertise. Yeah. Let's start with some of the basics. Hand washing. It's one of the simplest ways to keep kids from spreading germs. I learned it when I was young. Kids are learning it now. But what are some tips to make it as effective as possible?
Yeah, it's a basic, but it's a good one because we want to make sure that kids are washing their hands for at least 20 seconds. So I do 2 things with my kids. They sing happy birthday twice. It's a little bit of just a gimmick because you get that 20 seconds in. And then I also have do something that's going to sound crazy, but Taylor Swift is really popular in our household. We put glitter on our hands and we try to get the exercise of how do you get the glitter off? Because then it really teaches you about how to get into those nooks and crannies, washing those hands effectively, and also teaching them how to sneeze and try to do anything like cough or sneeze into their elbow so that they kind of cough and sneeze into their elbow instead of getting all those germs. We learned a lot during COVID, but people aren't wearing masks anymore. So try to get them to practice hand hygiene, and coughing and sneezing can go a long way in keeping your own kids healthy and the kids around you healthy.
Okay, that glitter thing is too cute. That's a great idea. I love that. Okay, also
we're going to start doing it as adults.
Yeah. Glitter all over this. We all know a good night's sleep is so important for growing bodies and minds, so important for all of us.
Right.
How does it help, and how much sleep are we talking?
Yeah. So I love to tell this fact because it's true, and it really gets kids' attention because kids love growing. They all want to hurry up and grow up and be adults. And so what I tell them is that the most important time for growth is when you are sleeping. That's when a lot of our growth hormones actually do their magic, when we're resting. And so to that end, kids school age, especially the young ones, need at least 9 to 11 hours if they can get as much sleep as possible at those younger ages. And then the teen age, getting at least like 8 hours is really important. Wow. And then don't forget the adults too, because we need to sleep while the kids are resting. And it's really important to give them a routine. So talking to them, doing the things we're talking about as adults, Savannah and Joe, putting the phones away, any like electronics or TV screens, and then having a routine can help them.
Yeah, are there other ways to make sure your kids get settled in for a good night's sleep at bedtime, to make sure they get those hours?
Yeah, a great way is physical activity. Believe it or not, the American Academy of Pediatrics and other experts recommend 60 minutes of daily activity, not just aerobic activity, Joe, but also having like muscle strengthening activity, resistance activity. That's a lot of work sometimes. And with all the things we put into kids' schedules, they might not get that 60 minutes, but that can help them not only get that routine, get that daily exercise as recommended, but it can help them hit the pillows and get some much needed rest.
Dr. Kavita Patel, we love when you come by. Again, expert on all things for us this morning. Thank you very much.
All right, coming up, from back to school to back to Earth.
After the break, we'll tell you about the daring SpaceX mission that's set to bring those 2 stranded Starlink astronauts home. That's next on Morning News Now.
We're back to some money news this morning. Supermarket chains Kroger and Albertsons will defend a merger plan in court today.
CNBC's Savannah Hanau joins us with that and other financial headlines. Savannah, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning to you. Yes, so Kroger and Albertsons head to court today to defend their merger. The companies proposed what would be the largest supermarket deal in U.S. history back in 2022, saying it would help them cut costs and compete better with Walmart and Costco. But the Federal Trade Commission has sued to block the merger, saying it would eliminate competition and raise grocery prices. Kroger and Albertsons operate more than 5,000 stores across the country. Meanwhile, IKEA is taking on the likes of eBay and Craigslist, launching a marketplace for customers to sell secondhand furniture. The company tells the Financial Times IKEA pre-owned will be tested in Spain and Norway with the aim of rolling it out globally. Now, the new marketplace is part of an overhaul at IKEA as it moves from being a physical retailer where customers have to pick up and build their own furniture to a business offering online sales and services such as assembly. And first-class seats for up to 85% off. Well, Qantas accidentally sold first-class seats between the U.S. and Australia for less than $3,400. That is a massive discount on the usual fare. Qantas says passengers snapped up 300 of the tickets within 8 hours of the offer being advertised on Thursday. The airline is rebooking the lucky customers into business class, which is still a savings of 65% off. Now, airlines don't have to honor advertised fares when they're clearly incorrectly priced, but Qantas says it will eat the cost from the mistake, guys. It took 8 hours for them to notice this mistake.
Right.
God dang.
And they all
I
felt
feel
like
they
yes,
should get it. Like, well, that's what you sold it for. Yeah.
All right, Savannah, thank you.
Thank you. Well, this morning, SpaceX is getting ready for 2 critical missions. One of them, a historic spacewalk now set for tomorrow.
Plans are also taking shape to bring home those 2 astronauts who've been up in space since June, much longer than expected. NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra has the latest.
Dragon, SpaceX, counting down for 2 critical missions. The company tapped to bring astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams back down to Earth in February.
Hello, everybody.
The duo has made the International Space Station home nearly 3 months after launching on Boeing's Starliner. That spaceship now set to return home without them because of thruster issues that left the 2 stranded. Boeing saying in part, we continue to focus first and foremost on the safety of the crew and spacecraft. And in just days,
it's been a really exciting journey.
The Polaris Dawn mission, set to make history, will include the first all-civilian spacewalk and a whopping orbit 870 miles above Earth.
Welcome to our simulator.
Together, Scott Petit, Sarah Gillis, and Anna Menon, led by Jared Isaacman, will do what no human has before. Previewed in this animation, across 5 days, they'll do Starlink comms tests. Astronauts Gillis and Isaacman will step out of the Dragon capsule and test human bounds in space.
Up above us is where we'll actually go out into the vacuum of space.
The risks in space are something former shuttle commander Eileen Collins knows all too well.
I think it's going to be fine, but I also think that it's risky.
But for crew leader Isaacman, the risk is worth the reward.
We're trying to inspire people to think about this extraordinary world we could live in tomorrow.
One step and 870 miles closer to expanding home beyond Earth. Marissa Parra, NBC News.
Let's talk a little more space news and bring in Dr. Savik Ford. She's a professor of astronomy at the City University of New York and a research associate in the Department of Astrophysics at the American Museum of Natural History. Good to have you with us. So both NASA and Boeing both previously adamant that the Starliner capsule was the primary choice for returning the crew. Now, Starliner is coming home without them. What are your takeaways from what we've seen over the last few months and what we'll likely see over the next several months here?
So I think the big takeaway is that spaceflight is really hard, especially when you put people in the mix. People need all kinds of support systems. They're very fragile, and you don't want to be taking unnecessary risks. Obviously, spaceflight is inherently risky, and the astronauts know that. But when NASA has to report to a widow or widower on the landing site that their partner is not coming home, that is a really devastating impact, and nobody wants to be the person who has to do that. And so I think that NASA is being appropriately cautious about returning Sunny Williams and Butch Williams. So that's where we're at right now. And they get an extra few months in space, which most astronauts actually probably are not that sad about, but don't tell their families.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that with friends of the show here, because you think, gosh, it's months longer up there and in a small confined space, but it is a pretty cool opportunity if it's something that you've trained for. NASA had said that it's 100% certain that the Starliner would be able to launch with a crew again someday. What do you think needs to be done to make the next mission successful? What do we learn from this?
So obviously they need to get a handle on what is wrong with the thrusters. And I think that some of the tests that they've done on orbit have been helpful for diagnosing that, but they don't actually have a complete handle on it yet. And so I think that even if you were inside one of the engineering teams at NASA or Boeing, they couldn't tell you exactly what the problem is, because if they knew, they would be able to fix it and bring folks home sooner. But they have narrowed down the possibilities. And so it's a question of manufacturing control and sort of interacting systems that sometimes you can't really get a handle on until things are on orbit. So that's the plan.
This was not really the intention. It is in some ways sort of part of the process, right? There's a lot of problem solving that goes on when we're trying to figure out how to explore space, right?
Absolutely. This was absolutely the first time that they were flying the Starliner crewed, and they knew that it was a test flight, and they understood that things don't always go according to plan on test flights. That's why you have test flights. And so that's why they also only flew 2 people. They were very experienced. Both of the astronauts we're talking about here are former naval aviators. And so they're very used to rolling with emergencies and dealing with what comes at them as it comes at them.
All right. Dr. Ford, good to have you with us this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Coming up, we are ready to serve up some drama on the court here in New York.
After the break, we've got a full preview of the U.S. Open, which starts today. What are the big matches that we're hoping will happen? Stay with us. We're going to take you to Queens next. Welcome back. After a thrilling 8 innings, a Florida team won the Little League World Series. The team from Lake Mary, which is just outside of Orlando, bested Chinese Taipei for the prestigious title. They just happened to be the first team from Florida to ever win the championship. Quickly, we should note Taiwan itself is self-governed, but China claims it as part of its territory. Taipei clung to a 1-0 lead through the first few innings, with Florida tying in the bottom of the 6th, and then a well-placed bunt in the 8th actually led to a throwing error by Taipei that allowed Florida to score that game-winning run, and the celebrations were on. Congratulations to them, a moment they will truly never forget.
Absolutely. So exciting. Go Florida. Thanks, Joe. Well, in Paris, the Olympics may have ended, but the Paralympics are just about to get started. For one of the swimmers on Team USA, these games will be the culmination of an inspiring recovery. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa introduces us to an athlete who will take to the water less than 2 years after losing her foot to a shark.
Allie Truitt has been swimming her entire life, but she's about to dive into her most competitive race yet, one she never could have predicted.
You're a Paralympian.
I am.
How does that feel to say?
That feels crazy, especially just thinking about where I was a little over a year ago.
After graduating from Yale last year, where she competed on the swim team, Allie and a friend traveled to Turks and Caicos on a celebratory trip, exploring a popular snorkeling spot that would change her life forever.
A shark came up and started attacking us and aggressively bumping us and ramming us from underneath. And we fought back and shoved and kicked, but pretty quickly it got my leg in its mouth. And the next thing I knew, it had bitten off my foot and part of my leg.
No one could hear their cries for help.
So we made the split-second decision to swim for our lives, roughly 75 yards in the open ocean water back to the boat.
It's a parent's worst nightmare.
A nurse called me and said, Mrs. Truitt, we have your daughter, Alexandra, and she's conscious and breathing. So I knew right away that something was terribly, terribly wrong.
After multiple blood transfusions and surgeries, including amputation, Allie returned to the swimming pool back home in Connecticut to help with her recovery. What she didn't foresee was just how far the sport would propel her physically and emotionally.
I remember I left the hospital and I asked my parents to put all of my shorts and short skirts and short dresses away because I didn't want anyone to see my prosthetic leg. And being in this space has exposed me to so much and given me so much of my confidence back.
She credits her army of supporters, from longtime Paralympians to the water aerobics class that practices next to her.
Thank you, guys.
To family and friends, like 5-time Olympic medalist Kate Douglas, training here along Allie.
5K in the morning, 5K in the afternoon.
Her former coach, Jamie Barone, even coming out of retirement to guide Allie through her recovery.
You've known Allie since she was just 12 years old. What stands out to you about her?
Work ethic, without a hesitation. She is the hardest worker I've ever met. If at any point in time she had texted me or called me and said, you know what, I'm just going to curl up in a ball today and I'm going to cry, everyone in the world would be like, that checks out. You take the day, you do whatever. Not once. She has never once missed a day of practice.
That tenacity translated into head-turning times. Allie competed in nationals by the end of the year, and a few months later, Paralympic swimming trial.
The para movement basically gave her a recovery runway. That's what's happened here.
It's so evident Allie looks up to you, a former swimmer. What have you learned from Allie in the past 15 months?
I think she's teaching me to be fearless, but I think this whole year has been her facing one fear after another. And I think a lesson for all of us in our family is just don't let fear rule you. Just fight it.
A fight Allie will now take to the world stage in Paris, buoyed by love and support from a rapidly growing Team Truitt.
You know, I'm unique in that I was attacked by a shark, but I'm not unique in that we all go through hardship and trauma and tough times in life, and we all have the capacity to rise back up.
Our thanks to Emily Aketa for that touching story. And make sure you tune into the Paralympic Games live. You can catch all the action on NBC and Peacock starting this Wednesday, August 28th. Can't wait.
Just
to
a
get
couple
back
days
into
away.
that Olympic spirit.
Exactly. All right, finally this hour, speaking of the spirit, the U.S. Open kicks off right here in New York City today.
That's right, and it's on the heels of some pretty exciting Olympic performances, so the hype is definitely real this morning.
For more on what we can expect, we are joined by Hall of Fame tennis coach, motivational speaker, author, and friend of the show, Rick Macci. Rick, good to have you with us.
Hello.
No, it's good to be with you, Joe and Savannah.
All right, so let's kick it off here. We know Coco Gauff and Novak Djokovic are obviously looking to defend their championship titles. Does it look like they're the favorites to win it all again this year?
Well, let's start with Coco. As you heard me say many times, the Olympic sprinter with a racket in her hand. Her backbone is just as good as her backhand. But at the end of the day, she's been struggling a little bit. But if she gets that confidence back with the New York crowd, they could be going cuckoo for Coco. So never count out the heart of a champion. And then this other guy you talked about, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He has a lot of potential. You know, the rubber band man, the Serbian sniper, Novak Djokovic. 99 singles titles, 24 Grand Slams, and now he has that in his back pocket. But now in his front pocket, he has a gold medal that he won a month ago in Paris. So Djokovic has an easier draw. But both of them, it wouldn't surprise me if they're the last people standing.
Absolutely. Rick, what's the latest with top-ranked Jannik Sinner? He tested positive for anabolic steroids back in March, but is still expected to play. Is that kind of casting a cloud here?
Yeah, you know, especially when you're the #1 player in the world, everybody's going to talk about it. They think it's a different set of rules. But listen, the ITIA found it was not intentional. It was accidentally transmitted. Okay, through a massage. And this is a lot of zeros, 0.000001. Joe and Savannah, that's a lot of zeros and donuts. That's kind of more than he gives on the tennis court. So he's going to play, but he has a brutal draw. He has Tommy Paul in the 4th round, if everybody gets there. Then he has Medvedev, then Alcaraz, then the Joker. I mean, so he has a brutal draw. He will be tested on the court even more so than what he was off the court.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you mentioned Carlos Alcaraz. Now, he twisted his ankle during practice over the weekend. He does still plan to play. What are you hearing about that? Could that set him back at all, or do you think he's still going to be one of the favorites?
Yeah, he rolled his ankle on Saturday. He stopped practice. I love his reason. He goes, I wanted to get better. You know, he stopped, precautionary, but he's ready to go. He's ready to go. You've heard me say many times, the Spanish magician has 4 Grand Slams. And guys, he's only 21 years old. Generational talent, okay? And even though he rolled his ankle, he said he's ready to go. And that's my favorite to win the whole thing, Carlos Alcaraz.
All right, you got it right there, Rick.
favorite.
So we're laying down the gauntlet. All right.
Interesting to see. We're both lucky enough to go
We're
a little
going to
bit.
check
We're
it
going
out.
to see
It's
a
my
little bit
first
of
year
tennis.
actually going, too, so I can't wait to see it in person. So, Rick Macci, great to have you with us as always.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
Thank
today's
you
not
so
only the
much.
first day of the U.S. Open, by the way, it also happens to be Savannah's birthday. Happy
It is
birthday.
my birthday. Thank you so
woke up
much.
early despite that to come here.
There you go. Oh, my goodness. Who made this? Oh, my gosh.
Chandler made this for you.
Chandler, stop. That is so funny.
That is actually not a graphic. That is actual video of Savannah dancing over the
That's me.
weekend.
That was me
celebrating
Saturday
her
night.
birthday.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much. That's very sweet,
I want to
guys.
know what that
Yes.
dance is called.
No place I'd rather be on my birthday.
Well, we are so glad you're celebrating with us.
idea.
Glad you had a good time over the weekend.
Yes, we
and
did.
you get to celebrate with your family now, right?
I know. Parents are in town. We're going to do a whole, make it a whole week celebration.
Very good.
Yes, very, very princess of
All
me.
right. It's okay. It's your
But it'll
time.
be fun, yeah.
It's your time to be a princess.
Yeah.
You can wash
Thank
your hands
you.
with glitter and everything.
Yeah, right.
Dr. Patel recommended. Happy birthday.
Thank
Glad
you
we
so
get to
much.
celebrate
Thank
with
you, guys. That was so cute.
All right. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.